Beep boop bop, it's Becca and welcome back to Baking with Becca. I am so excited to be back in the kitchen today and we are going to be making some vegan apple kugel. Now apple kugel is like a doughy, sweet mixture with baked apples and it's going to be amazing. I'm super excited, so here we go. So here are all of our ingredients for our apple kugel. It's very simple. Let's start over here. We have 1 cup of brown sugar, 1 cup of warm water, 3 apples, 1 tablespoon of cinnamon, 1½ cups of flour, 2 teaspoons of baking powder, ½ a teaspoon of salt, 1/4 cup of oil, and ½ a cup of apple juice. So our first step is doing kind of the syrupy part that goes on the bottom of apple kugel. So we just want to do a quick little spray, make sure nothing sticks. And then we're actually going to mix, this is our warm water and our brown sugar right in our pan. So, let's dump this in. And our warm water. Make sure it's warm because it'll help to dissolve the brown sugar. Then you just want to stir it around, make it nice and even. Okay, perfect. So now we're going to set this aside and move on to the rest of our ingredients. So next you want to peel and slice your apples. So grab a peeler and get to it. So now that they're peeled, we can start slicing. So you want to make these in very thin slices because we're going to be rolling it in our dough, and if it's really big, it's going to be hard to roll. So just go ahead and start slicing as thin as you can. Well, not too thin, but you know. It's also okay to have a little bit of variation. So then some of these bigger pieces, like these, you want to cut again in half, like that. And I'm going to finish cutting all my apples. Okay, so all of our apples are cut and in this bowl. And I'm going to pour in our tablespoon of cinnamon and mix it up. I love cinnamon and apples together. They balance each other out so nicely. And so for this amount of cinnamon that you use is really up to you. I like to go more on the heavier side, so I do a little bit over a tablespoon, but somewhere around a tablespoon is good. Okay, that looks good and we can set this aside. Okay, so now this is the rest of our ingredients. We want to mix all together into a bowl. So this is going to form our dough. Very, very simple dough. We have our flour, our baking powder, our salt, our apple juice, and our oil. You can also use water instead of apple juice if you don't want to use apple juice, but we want extra apple flavor, so we're using juice. And mix that up. Okay, looking good. So next we want to lightly flour our surface. Take a little bit of flour, sprinkle it around. Also, it's easier if you put a little bit of flour on the top of your dough and on your rolling pin. And we want to try and make this really, really thin, kind of a square, but it will be hard to make it into a square. So here we go. This is a very soft dough, so you don't need to use your muscles too much to roll it out. So here is my perfect square. And so now what we want to do is we want to spread out our apples on top of our dough. Okay, so then, now that you have it evenly spread out, you want to start to roll your dough. This is kind of like making cinnamon rolls. So you roll the dough and just try and keep the apples in there as best you can. It's okay if it's not perfect because we're going to be cutting it. And there we go. So now we have our pan back out and ready to go because we have our sugar water mixture. And so now you want to cut thin rolls of your dough. It's okay if you smush it down. Oh, apple, go back in. And then you want to place it in here. Okay, so now I'm gonna finish cutting the rest of the roll to fill the whole pan. So we have all of our rolls in our pan and it actually fits perfectly, which is good. And like towards the end when it gets a little bit smushed, you can kind of just move some over to make sure it all fits in. So now we just wanna kind of press in and make sure that the juice, the sugar water juice is kind of getting to the top because we want it to be completely soaked in this syrupy sugar. So just push it all down so it's kind of submerged. The oven started preheating when the dough was being rolled out, so make sure you do that. Then you want to bake this at 425 for about 20 minutes, and you know that it's done because the sides are going to get bubbly and the top is going to be light brown. The apple kugel is done and the whole house smells so good. So cinnamony and appley and delicious. So let's take a little piece out of here. I'm just gonna take some from the middle. Oh, so syrupy. This looks so good. And it's still warm. Make sure you eat it warm because that is when it will be best. Wow. It's so syrupy from that sugar syrup that we made with the apples and the cinnamon flavor. It is so good, and the dough is super soft, so altogether it is incredible, but do make sure you eat it warm. So I need to go share this with the rest of my family. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Try out the recipe. I really want to know what you think about it, and if you did like it, give this video a thumbs up. Also make sure to subscribe. Let me know in the comments any suggestions for future videos, and I'll see you next time. Bye!